Welcome, Army fans. This is Joe Iacono with GoBlackKnights.com, coming to you live from Huffman Press Box at Mikey Stadium, following Army's 30-27 double overtime defeat to Tarleton State. There's a lot of stats I could dig into, but I don't actually want to bore you with that. So we will get right to the heart of the matter and what everybody knows to be true. Coach Monken, we just finished the press conference, and he basically echoed my analysis is going to line up very closely with what Coach Monken told us in his post-game press conference. Quite frankly, if you didn't see the game, Army was outplayed in every phase of the game by Tarleton State. You can say, "Oh, well, they're a really good FCS team," and they are absolutely. Like all credit to Tarleton State, they played really well. I think they'll be competing for the FCS championship. They're probably maybe just one notch below the Dakota teams at this point in time. Really, really talented, really big line. Tyrone Nix, their defensive coordinator, had a great game plan for Army's offense. But the bottom line is Army just made too many mistakes. What do we always say, right? If Army doesn't beat Army, Army has a chance. And Army clearly beat Army tonight. Lost the turnover battle 3-0. I think if they don't lose the turnover battle, there's probably a 10 to 14 point swing. They probably win the game 31-17. Hayden Reed coughs it up deep in our own territory, which led to the game tying touchdown. I'll have to go back and watch the tape, but saw Hayden's ball security throughout the game, and it was a concern. It seems like he carries the ball low. Again, I've got to look at that, but that is what I saw. I think if you compare him to other Army fullbacks, the ball security is an issue. Some people have to learn the hard way. I know I'm in that boat sometimes. So maybe now that he lost the fumble, he will button that up. And I'm sure his coaches will help him button that up as well over the next week of practice prior to Kansas State. Dwayne Coleman was in and out of the lineup, got hurt multiple times. You know, in general, threw the ball pretty well, but made a couple of really bad decisions. One, which was an absolute killer in the red zone, throwing an INT in the double coverage at the goal line. Coach Munkin said he never saw the corner, which is exactly what it looked like. But they practiced that play, and just you can't make that mistake there. You just can't. It's a killer. And take a sack, throw the ball out of bounds, just eat it, go try and gain a yard, whatever. But you can't be throwing the ball up for grabs there when you've got an opportunity. Army at the time had an opportunity to go up, I believe, 31-10. And that would have definitely put the game away. But instead, they gave Tarleton State life. You give a team like that an underdog life, let them keep hanging around, and eventually they're going to take advantage of it. I don't know if Army's ever beaten anyone when they lost the turnover battle 3-0. They turned the ball over a lot against the Squids last year, and that cost them. Can't turn the ball over that much and win. Some of the deeper problems that are concerning as the year goes along, really, really bad first down production. There were a lot of 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 11, 2nd and 13, things we haven't seen in a while. When Army gets behind the chains, that is a problem. When I asked Coach Munkin about that, he said straight up, they kicked our ass on 1st and 2nd down. And, I don't know. I was just talking to one of the other media members. I don't know if we gave enough credit to Bill Katsianis, Connor Finucane, and Lucas Scott, who just made the Ravens practice squad last year. And, so far, whether Appleton and Jeff Code and Teddy Williams turn out to be the right guy or not, right now in their first starts, they did not look great. Again, I got to watch the tape to see who exactly on the offensive line got beat up. I know Brady Small didn't play great. We've seen that before when he goes against a really talented nose tackle or talented defensive line. Oh, you're fine. Well, there are some challenges there. And then, at the end of all that, when everything was all said and done, they still had an opportunity to win in regulation. But Dawson Jones basically tried to kick the game-winning field goal from the right hash, kicked it wide right. kicked one wide left in overtime. He's got to get that buttoned up. I'm sorry, as a D1 kicker, those are chip shots, and just you have to make them. It is what it is. So there's plenty of blame to go around in this one, from the coaches down to the players, the offensive line, and let's talk about maybe the most concerning issue going forward. As I mentioned, Dwayne Coleman was in and out of the lineup, injured, some problems there. But even if he's healthy, I'm just not sure he's the playmaker that can get Army to the promised land, so to speak. As Army's quarterbacks tend to go, so Army goes. And right now, I haven't seen Coleman make a lot of plays. I haven't seen him be a difference maker the way that Army's best quarterbacks, aka Bryson Daly, Kelvin Hopkins, Ahmad Bradshaw, and maybe even throw Christian Anderson into that mix, have been. And I think Ethan Washington going down, even though he's a sophomore and he's untested and unproven, I think I saw him on the field before the game. And when you look at him and you look at his body, he's the real deal. And I think, it was just a blow to Army that he's out for the season, but hopefully he'll be back next year. But, in the meantime, we got Dwayne Coleman, we got Cale Helms. Let's see what we can make happen. And the offensive line is going to have to block a lot better. It doesn't get easier for sure. They have Kansas State next week, as you know, and they really have to get the ship right. And Cody Harris-Miller was also carried off the field at the end. Casey Larkin, maybe our best defensive player, went down with an injury, came back in. There were some guys on defense who, from time to time, the defense looked okay for the first game, but still too many mistakes across the board to really expect to win. The fact that Army was even in the game at the end shows really, had they played well, how much better they were really, and how they probably could have won by 2 touchdowns at a bare minimum. But just a really poor effort, a lot of mistakes, first game jitters, hopefully, whatever you want to call them. But this team has to right the ship in a hurry, because they go on the road to Manhattan next week. And as Coach Monken said in the presser, if they don't get that fixed, this team will beat them worse than they've been beat in a really long time. Think 63-0 against LSU 2 years ago. I'm not sure it'll be that bad. If they play like they did tonight, it could certainly get that bad. And then the American play starts after the bye week. So got to get things moving in the right direction. They can still do well in the conference. They can still win the CIC, all that stuff's still out there for him. Really like Noah Short's comment in the press conference. He mentioned in 2023 how they opened with a loss to LSU, or not LSU, ULM, and still came back. And that was a super disappointing loss. And later in the season, they lost to UMass, which was another super disappointing loss. And they still came back, won their last 4 games, and won the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. So there's still a lot out there for this team, but they've got to right the ship. They got to stop making mistakes. They have to find a quarterback. Dwayne Coleman's going to have to figure out how to make plays without making mistakes, and the offensive line is going to have to get better. Period. End of story. That's it. Relatively short analysis tonight. Tell me what you guys think. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're up at like 700 subscribers now, so trying to get to that magic 1,000 number. So we appreciate. Hey, I heard. Going to give a shout out to Paolo Generelli's dad, Jeff. Ran into me earlier before the game, told me he watches me all the time. Larry Pickett, Pookie Arterberry, bunch of guys, big fans of the site. And we appreciate everybody who watches us and listens to me give my half-educated opinion of Army football. I really appreciate it. And let's go Army. And I'm not even going to say beat Kansas State. Let's play better against Kansas State.